Rossi. We're here live after Evolution 2025 for the NoSo Post Show on YouTube. Overall, fantastic night for the women in the WWE. Big success. Not a lot of anticipation building in, but that low ceiling, these girls kind of crushed it. You had two all-time matches, one to open, one to close, and an excellent moment with Naomi as well. So overall, what's your thoughts on Evolution?
Thought it was good. I think every match delivered, other than maybe the Jade Naomi match, but that honestly may be by design now. You know, that kind of they kind of sped through that to kind of make you feel like Naomi was cleared out before the cash in, and you know everything seemed to be pinpoint for Naomi to cash this fucking thing in at SummerSlam after Jade wins. But hey, they swerved us, and we never thought she'd be in the mix for the Raw title, and here we are.
Yeah, excellent booking. I wonder if there's any like breadcrumbs that we could see coming. But at 26 minutes and 20 seconds, Naomi defeats Io Sky, your champion, and Rhea Ripley in a triple threat match. Cash in at about the 26-minute mark for the women's world title. Unbelievable match. These girls were cooking. It was funny too because I wrote to you and others like, wow, this is very similar to Naomi. This is very similar to Tony and Mercedes, where it's all in ring, straight ahead, kick ass, and they're just ripping through this match. And then the minute I send that text, we have the ref buff, and they go outside, and shenanigans kind of prevail. But I don't think the shenanigans hurt the match whatsoever. There's kind of two sides of this coin when you look at the results, because you had an all-time match cooking, right? You had a fantastic women's match going overall, but then you had a great moment coming out of it. So what did you think of the match, and what do you kind of feel about the decision for Naomi to cash in?
So I liked everything about it. I mean, I think obviously whenever you get the visual pin, when that Rhea clearly had after the ref bump, you assume that she's not going to win, right? And then, you know, it almost felt like Rhea was going to turn heel and do something like dastardly. And she was kind of like teasing that, but never really executing anything too bad other than like brawling through the crowd. And then Io had a flurry of offense, and then it just seemed like Rhea was screwed, just as usual, made one mistake and was going to lose to Io again. The moonsault was right as Jess was getting in the ring, and Rhea kicked out. And at that point, you're like, holy shit, they got me by the balls right now because I don't know where they're going. And then even with that, I never thought a cash-in was coming with Naomi. So I think they did a really good job. I don't think that not having a decisive finish between Rhea and Io is a bad thing, because they can continue to play up that Rhea hasn't beaten Io.
Even more now, right?
And then Rhea didn't even get pinned. So she kind of has like the leg up for a rematch pretty quick. And, you know, maybe this turns into, you know, I don't even know what they do with SummerSlam at this point, 3-way, 4-way, whatever. But at the end of the day, you know, they swerved us. None of us saw this coming. Everybody had their eyes set on the fact that Jade was going to, you know, win and then immediately lose it to Naomi. It's kind of the old Daniel Bryan booking. And, you know, they dropped the bomb on us here. So I think that this was really well done, really well executed, and the match was awesome. And they still have meat on the bone, so they can come back to Rhea and Io at any point, and you know, we'll get to the decisive finish eventually.
Yeah, and then you have them kind of going off as friends in the distance, right? I wouldn't mind if they kind of linked up for a little bit and went down that road. Maybe go against the Judgment Day, and that would probably be a little bit fun too. But in the intermediate, you would think at SummerSlam a triple threat is probably on the horizon. But overall, all right. So it's interesting, right? Because part of me is just like, I really wish we had a conclusion to that awesome match we were getting. But then a part of me is like, what an awesome moment and an awesome swerve. It's also kind of funny that the Battle Royal, which we'll get into late here, was for Clash in Paris. So it's like this was kind of breadcrumbs throughout. Like I wonder if we start sprinkling upon any more breadcrumbs as we're still on this match, Crazy Shark. And yeah, Rhea still hasn't beaten Io. They also gave Rhea not one but 2 outs in the match. She wasn't pinned, and she had the match won if she hadn't been for the ref bump. So yeah. And because Rhea needs to hit her championship match every month quota. I don't know about that. Like, she's been off the distance. This is her first title match since Mania. And before that, she was champion. So I guess. But, you know,
she's the biggest female star.
She's the biggest star in the company. She should be kind of presented around the title 100%. So I don't Crazy Shark, I think you're a little crazy on that one, right? So
Craziest of Shark today.
the craziest of Shark. But overall, what would you where are you with my like only hiccups here? You good with the moment, or do you want a conclusion with the match? Even though I
Perfect.
understand the psychology of we still have that match and they can continue on it, but I don't know if they'll ever hit the cylinders that they were at tonight.
Right.
The gears were extremely high. The investment, like you talked about, was fully there. I don't know if we'll reach that, is what I'm kind of saying.
I think it's good. I think because Naomi kind of needed to get away from SmackDown too, and we didn't even really think about that because it just felt like she was kind of being, set up to finally get that win over Jade when she cashed in on her, But now you look at it, she's away from Jade, which she's on Raw. She's away from Nia, which she's done to death too. And then Tiff and Jade can kind of breathe without having to worry about Naomi, breathing down the neck. So, and that match might need that, So.
Yeah.
I think that fresh coat of paint for Naomi obviously happened when she did the heel character. So now she's gonna have fresh opponents, and Raw is littered with baby faces that are people that she can be in there with. And if it's Vicaire and Naomi in Paris, definitely weird. Because we were obviously all expecting either Io or Rhea versus Vicaire, but that's there when they want to come back to it. And Naomi, I hope she's not transitional. But, with Vicaire looming, she might be to a degree. That might just be a way to kind of flush the money in the bank if they want to actually give Jade a run with hers or her title. So, I'm not bothered by it because at the end of the day, we got that shock moment and we got that thing that we're all talking about today. And, it makes me wonder, I don't think it seemed like they didn't have a cash-in planned at the end of Saturday Night's Main Event, but I'm wondering what they had planned at the end of Saturday Night's Main Event. And when that didn't go off, they realized, well, we got to do something big this weekend. Like, that's kind of the feel that I have. But at the same time, if this was planned long out, well done. I think I'm dying to see who these producers are, because I think whoever produces Main Event, between the near falls, the late kickouts, the build up to the cash in, it was excellent.
Yeah. I think Vince was the agent for the Battle Royal. I think that's true. But
yeah,
I want to think that one anyways, right? Because we had a lot of tropes right away where I was like, all right, what are we doing, right? So, Oh, this is another one too. The women's Money in the Bank remains 100% success rate. So, yep, that's true as well. All right, so while we're on this match, before we go off this match, 4 wrestlers, rank them 1 through 4 as like in-ring wrestlers, like just bell to bell. Where would you rank these 4? Mercedes Moné, Toni Storm, Io Sky, Rhea Ripley. Rank them 1 through 4.
Oh, fuck. It's tough because obviously Toni and Mercedes have a little bit more freedom probably than Io does. I still think I would put Io above both of them.
I was just gonna say that she was incredible. The reason I bring that up is because she was incredible tonight.
Right. I think of the 4, at least in the last year or two, Rhea's probably had the most misses. And that's it's like apples to oranges, though,
A lot of her similar to Toni, right? But Rhea plays into her character in ring more in a way.
Yeah.
Does that make it like her presentation in the ring when the bell rings? She plays more into that Rhea Ripley persona and aura and whatever, right? And then Toni does the same as the timeless thing, right? So they play into it. Where Io is the most complete in like her lack of character, which is a good thing. And what honestly got her over, because she's so organic as a person. She doesn't even feel like a character. Io Sky feels like a person, right? In a way. And that organicness and her fluidity in ring, I would put her number 1. And I'd probably put Rhea 4th, and then I put Mercedes, Toni.
I think Toni and Rhea, I think as a 3-4 could be pretty interchangeable. I think Toni really clicked with this character, and it's definitely carried her to this point, right? But when you think about it, when they were both in NXT UK, Rhea and Toni was the big feud, so they were kind of on the same level at that point.
Yeah, and one won the Mae Young, the other one won the inaugural NXT UK, right?
Right. So I think it's, that's kind of two that kind of thought was going to always be tied together, right? But unfortunately, it never happened that much past the UK. They might have had a match in regular NXT too, but I do think I have Rhea 4 in that, but which I can't fucking believe I'm saying because
She's easily the biggest star, though.
Yeah, a year and a half ago, I would have been like, no, fuck Tony Storm. I never really saw it, but the character work has definitely brought it to another level. And all I think the thing with Tony and Rhea is they are big match wrestlers, right? Like they perform when the lights are on. But if you see them on like a Raw or a Dynamite, it's kind of like
they're just going through their shit,
right? So where I think EO and Mercedes are kind of like they have that aura to them at this point that when they step into the ring, like the eyes are on them. You know what I mean? And I think they deliver with that. I'd put EO 1, Mercedes 2.
Mercedes doesn't have the gear that EO has. You saw full-fledged EO Sky. I just thought it was an interesting question because of the last night match, which was excellent between them two girls, and this night match was excellent between the two girls. So I was just curious in your opinion. Crazy Shark plays into that. EO in-ring clears all three by a mile. Tony and Rhea are more character-focused, but they both are good in ring. Mercedes is Mercedes.
So, like, what does that mean? What does Mercedes mean? Like, we're talking about arguably somebody that's been the most impactful woman in wrestling in the last decade.
Mercedes, I think he means a little bit of that. Like, here's like a thing of Mercedes, not to get too far into it, but like, here's a trope of Mercedes is as soon as she was doing the ring announcement, she had Sasha Boo Boo face. And I think I text you, she's losing. You can tell right away.
Which you can, it's funny because I feel like Zelina Vega wants to be Mercedes really badly. And she had Boo Boo face today too. It made me laugh because I was thinking, Zelina's got Sasha face today.
Yeah. So, but overall, excellent night. Back-to-back main events. Because I am considering Tony and Mercedes a main event from both companies on the grandest stage, delivering 4.5-star matches at least, right? So unbelievable night. Kudos to the women. They peaked. Hopefully they haven't peaked. And I think WrestleMania probably is the stage now for a Rhea Ripley EO Sky match. Triple H, that's something like Triple H I feel would be into presenting that. That could low-key be your next women's main event at a WrestleMania night one, right?
Right. So can you bring up that most recent comment from Crazy Shark for me?
Yeah. All right. And then there you go. Go for it.
So she lacks that third gear in ring and she has a terrible poker face with that boo-boo face. Okay. So I'm going to give you a challenge. Go write down the 10 best matches of all 4 of those girls and then let me know where Mercedes ranks at that point.
All right. Well, we're not going to wait for that.
So. No, I know. Don't do it right now, but to that individual, just go do that as a fun activity.
Yeah, I know. Mercedes is great. I think she showed that she's a player this weekend, right? And she also showed she still has some of the traits that kind of get her some flack too. But overall, you can't deny how awesome of an ring.
It's funny too that we're at an apex here where Mercedes and Naomi are kind of both won, right? You know what I mean?
Oh, that's funny too. 2020, 3.5 years later almost now, right? Right? No shit. Yeah, that's funny. Right, especially Naomi, right? Because she was kind of roped into all of that too, to kind of go full circle on Naomi here. She was a little bit roped into that, right? She was just with Sasha on TV. Right. I don't think it probably wasn't her idea to storm into the office, and then she fucked around and found out herself without a job for 2 years, right?
She did it. She did the right thing. Like someone like her had to go to TNA, and honestly, the Naomi career arc is great when you look at it. Like she had her stride when she was the babyface in 2018. When she was like the champ at the hometown Mania. And then she kind of lost her footing for a while, but she was pretty hot at that point. And then, the tag stuff with Sasha was always good. But they both went away at the same time, and they both bet on themselves, just different levels. But at the end of the day, it's funny to look at them both, in the position they probably all thought that they deserved to be in, but they worked to get there. So good for them, both of them.
All right, as we cap this match here, Mike, what would you do like a star rating wise reaction to this? Like I'm at least 4.5. I was totally into it. Even the walk away bullshit that sometimes is a negative to a match, especially when they were so crisp in ring. A lot of the girls had their working boots on tonight. We'll get to that with the first match next, but I think 4.5. If you weigh the Naomi moment, I'd like to see how that plays out a little bit.
Yeah.
I think my floor is 4.5, man. Like,
I mean, what would I give the Mania 3-way? I think I gave that 4 3/4 in my head.
4.5 on that too. I think this was a little bit better.
I would say I'd probably take like a quarter off of this from there. But I'd have to rewatch them both because I think they're pretty close. Rhea and Io needed a big time performance in a singles match, and they have it now.
Yeah. So when you do your spreadsheet, right? Do you add Naomi to the match?
Yeah, you gotta, right?
She's a winner, right? I had Seth at 31, so it's like, wow, that's like stealing.
It adds to it too. Like I get some people can say like from like a match rating perspective, it could take away from it.
This is extremely nerdy, by the way.
Right, but it also like entirely boosts the remembering portion of this match, right?
Yeah,
it has a bigger memory now.
I think D'Amato said it best when he said everything's extremely predictable, and we get this moment that no one called and no one saw coming. And
I think I saw that.
I
saw that in a couple different group chats I was in. I saw that in like on Twitter. Everybody was like, "Well, predictable show. Rhea was going to win." Hey, not predictable,
Yeah, she will benefit from the chase too. She's like a weird case because her title run in the past lacks like matches, right? So it's like I'm ready for her to go on a title run where she rolls the ball out every few weeks and delivers that match, and then maybe she climbs up from that basement spot out of those four, hypothetical question that I asked you before. But overall, we're gonna move on from this match. Anything before we do, Mike?
No, I think it was awesome. I think it delivered. I think when they laid out this show, they, obviously it was easy to figure out based on what they were going to do that this was the main event. But, I mean, they delivered at a main event level even without the cash-in. So bravo to them. And whoever produced this match, bravo to you.
Yeah, you're going to have to send that to me because you always seem to find that and get that. I'm extremely curious as well. And I know I'm just going to assume that it's like Michael Hayes, right?
Like Tyson Kidd.
Yeah. All right, Mike, we started off with a banger here. All right. Also, guys, I can't believe I'm doing this, but we've grown immensely this week. We're up at 983 subs. So if you haven't subbed yet and you're in the chat, fucking sub. Like that's not, I feel gross like with the plugs. Anyways,
we got to get to 1,000 though. We got to get to 1,000.
That's the goal, right? So just as I say, and people are kind of rubbishing in there, check it out. Do us a favor and go ahead and like and subscribe. Oh, I feel dirty saying it. All right, opening match. Becky Lynch, the GOAT, defeated Bayley and Lyra Valkyrie in pinfall in a triple threat match for the Women's Intercontinental title, 16 minutes and 30 seconds. I made a TikTok, whatever you want to call it, before this, when this came out as your opener, Mike. And I said, good luck following this, right? And I was right for the first 6 matches.
Right.
But I thought that for 16 minutes, which is pretty similar to the Becky Lynch and Lyra timestamps from the previous 2 matches, that it was action-packed. It was in ring. It was crisp. The transitions were awesome. Even the final stretch with Lyra. Lyra moves so well. I think her and Io's future is going to be extremely high once Lyra gets on that level, and then from like a presentation character standpoint, and can go out there with Io Sky and roll out the ball for 25 minutes. I think that the ceiling is high for Lyra. She's one of those girls that can get on that level. And even Becky with like just being in places, making sure everything flows together. This is the most interesting Bayley's been in a while too as well. She looked fairly good. Like even, Bayley has those lazy punches, like the soft looking punches. We didn't get that tonight. Becky don't play around. She makes sure everything's snug and is ready to rock and roll. And I love the pin slide from Becky. Showed she still got it a little bit too in ring. It's not really her forte to the extent of the Lyra, Io, the girls that we talked about earlier, but she's all about the big moments and whatever. But she went out there and wrestled an awesome match with 2 awesome wrestlers. And like I said, I just can't get over the fluidity between these 3 girls because it's a little hard to have a 3-way match in a way too and not have it come across as clunky. But it was a great mix of all styles, and I really enjoyed it, and it lived up to the hype. 4.25 stars for me, Mike. I thought it was great.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I feel like it was easy to compare it to like the Mania 3-way, and it was definitely a little bit below that. But as far as like a show opener goes, I think that it was perfect to open the show with this and close with Rhea and Io. It fit. The 3, I loved how Cole, as soon as the show opened, was harping back, and even on the pre-show, he was harping back to the 4 horsewomen, mentioned Sasha by name, mentioned obviously Becky and Charlotte, and then when Bayley was coming to the ring, he said the 4th horsewoman, right? And Wade Barrett like jumped down his throat and was like, you can't just say that about her, like yada yada yada. And I just thought that was good, and I thought that was kind of that quickly put you in perspective that Becky and Bayley are big deals. They were big deals in 2018. And as far as like the scope of women's wrestling in WWE, they're there, and Lyra is kind of getting to their level as far as like TV goes. So I thought that he did a good job. I thought Cole had a bad night, but I thought that was his strength there for the evening, was how he kind of introed the show to run into this match, and just talking about what this match meant to the three of them, how they got to this point. I think they really kind of set the stage for this one well. WWE, as we know, always crushes the video packages that lead into matches. I think that they were even better than normal tonight.
Girls, yeah,
right. Like the opening with the Katy Perry was really good. I think they really pieced the production side of this. Other than the Naomi match we'll get into, I think everything else was produced well. And this match felt like a big deal. I loved how when the bell rang, the baby faces were pumping up the crowd. Bayley, you could tell Bayley was ecstatic to be in the spot. She's probably bummed that she missed the Mania moment, but she got, to open Evolution. Right. She's had plenty, but you know what I mean? If we just look at the scale of it this year, she seemed rejuvenated. She seemed excited. And, this was a match that had really good build. People were shitting on the build to Evolution, but this one's been going since, before Mania. Right. Exactly.
Over. So what are we doing next here at SummerSlam? We going Lyra, Becky 3? Or what are we doing?
Yeah, I would probably say so. But I also kind of feel like I'm ready for Becky to do something else.
We're going to get Becky Bayley and like blow it off there.
It's tough because that roster, like you're looking at that Raw roster and you're like, all right, so Vaquer's waiting for Paris. Rhea and Io. I don't know. Rhea and you can't go right to Rhea and Becky again. So I don't know. I mean, is there who am I missing that like Becky could elevate next?
Ivy Nile? I don't know. All right, real quick. Let's ponder on that and live, laugh, and love. What's up, Kevin? Go follow his. If you love New Rhode Island 1990s syndicated TV, go follow that channel right there. There's a plug for you, Kev. So
back when the Providence Friars were a good basketball team.
2022, 2023.
I had to throw it.
What are we talking about? Like, this isn't the Ryan Gomes era, brother. This is we just had Devin
the
Carter,
90s. Maybe it was more
Devin Carter, who's ripping up the fucking summer league.
When was Patino there? Was it the early 90s or late
87?
87, yeah.
He went to the Final Four in 87.
Yeah.
So, all right, we're not going on a tangent. That's our fall material, Mike.
Left open. It was open-ended meat there for me,
Let's stay on the focus here. But yeah, I wouldn't mind if because SummerSlam's 2 nights, right? Bayley and Lyra, let that boil over. And then who's next that Becky can have a match with? It'll come up throughout the night, I'm sure, Mike. Honestly, yeah. Nikki Bella, does that work, right?
I felt Nikki and Chelsea starting tonight. To a degree.
That's a SmackDown match. That's not.
It is, but even so, like Nikki's got something. I don't know what it is. She's going to be around for a bit. This wasn't a one-off.
Maybe it's maybe we'll figure it out. I'm sure as we go, it'll kind of come to us.
Right.
But maybe Bayley. I mean, maybe I like the idea of Bayley and Lyra having a non-consequential singles match at night 1 of SummerSlam, second match in. That sounds awesome. It feels like we're building off Evolution and we're kind of distributing women's matches without consequences on SummerSlam cards, which kind of people yearn for, and the women honestly deserve. And that match would be deserved coming out of this match as well. All right, let's kind of fight each other. We have settling business from WrestleMania season, and then are we friends? Are we frenemies? And then who deserves to go against Becky next? And then where does Becky fall? Honestly, Charlotte, that could be well, it'll come through the night. It's going to come to us through the night. I like the Alexa stuff over there too. So we'll see. AJ Lee, we'll see. Right. So we'll see, Mike. All right. Next match here is JC Jane with Fatal Influence defeating Jordan Grace with Blake Monroe, 10 minutes, 30 seconds. I thought this was a great continuation off the first match from a straight ahead in-ring presentation. I thought these girls maximized all 10 to 11 minutes that they had. And then you had the inevitable angle with kind of Blake costing Jordan, but like not on the surface, but as the dust settles, being like, yes, I am Blake Monroe. I'm kind of that bitch. And, you get the whole gimmick, right? It's glam. I'm the glamour. And, it's Jordan Grace is like the perfect first feud for her before she goes for that title. So what'd you think of this match? I think the NXT girls did a great job.
Yeah, I mean, I think that obviously this was a super predictable ending, especially with how the show ended last night, or Great American Bash ended. I didn't, obviously this is where I really got pissed at Cole, because I feel like he made it seem like Blake Monroe had an accident when she hit Jordan, and like it took him like 30 seconds after the match ended to be like, wait a minute, did she do that on purpose? And that was just bad. Like, that was the whole crux of this match, was that turn, right? So he should have had his shit in a row for that. And I didn't like how they did the turn, because it was such like, he hit her, she hit her in the back with a fucking belt,
Yeah.
So that I feel like that could have been done better. But at the end of the day, Blake is gonna be a heel, and she's gonna be a goddamn good one too. I mean, we saw what she could be a baby face, but her ceiling, she's going to be as high to her ceiling as possible as a heel. So I think that's good use for her. Her and Jordan's a fun feud. I don't think either of them are super long for NXT anyways. So, you might as well get that feud there to kind of give, Blake something to sink her teeth into. And, it kind of lets JC do her thing. And ultimately, I think JC might end up losing it to Masha next week. That's title for title, right?
Yeah, you would know more than me, but I'm pretty sure it's title for title. That'd be crazy. I don't know if that'll happen. That feels like a
So
schmuck.
here's my thought. Let me run through it.
Why?
They're NXT's loaded with heels, right? As far as women's go, JC, yeah, she's kind of overperformed, but she's still kind of dispensable, right? If she loses to a Masha, it doesn't make WWE look bad, right? And if it happens on the same show that like Trick loses to Santana, which I expect, right? Now TNA has their big powerful moment, and then Masha can end up coming in and losing the title to, whatever heel they deem next, whether that's Blake, whether that's it could be Lash Legend at this point, the way that they pushed her to the moon today. Maybe it's a Jada. There's a couple of different ways they could go with it, but I kind of feel like they've got to get that into babyface hands, because JC and Mariah, or JC and Blake, whatever we're going to call her, that just feels weird now, it doesn't benefit Blake if she's going to be a heel to do a heel match, because she's going to get all the cheers. If you put her in there with like a Masha, you're going to have a fun enough match. I think if you do it in the geek zone of the PC, then the crowd would be probably firmly behind Masha. And if that's who you're going to transition it to, her or any other heel, I think that's the move. And it kind of is the way, all right, well, WWE ran with the TNA world title for a bit, so now TNA is going to run with I can't see JC holding both titles. So I feel like that's the first thing that popped in my head when JC officially won this match is, maybe she does drop it to Masha and they just figure out how to get it to a heel from there.
It just feels like a non-finish or a conclusion of a finish.
Yeah, it could be. But like even Masha involving herself last night, like was to like make her visual on the show. I don't know. It kind of is there for me. I wouldn't be shocked if they did it.
It's cute, but it's not like Masha Slamovich is Jordan Grace, who you can see.
Right.
Right.
It's
not like it's Blake Monroe, where you can, where she's a prospect. Yeah, she's a nice wrestler. She's like a cool character, and she has a unique look and presentation. But does she scream like history making? Not in my opinion.
Right. It's just looking at the other baby faces on NXT. It's like it'd be like Lola or Thea Hale. Like that's probably next up, right? Like I can't see that. So
all right. So Jordan is kind of like on the surface going to feud with Blake Monroe coming out of this inevitably. So that kind of takes my pitch away from how about Becky versus Jordan Grace at SummerSlam? That would kind of rock, but the timing doesn't feel right there.
No.
It does not. So overall, I think it's a successful night for the NXT girls. They maximized the 11 minutes that they had.
I think they did really well. I think JC, everybody poo-pooed JC winning this title. I think she's been great. I think she's really kind of boiled to the high level that we kind of expect her to be at from like a heel perspective. And obviously like the fatal influence, like teasing to like have Fallon kind of resentful of her is always going to be there. So that could play into whenever she ends up losing too. But at the end of the day, JC's delivered on this reign so far. And, a lot of people didn't expect that. So good for her.
Yep. Well, she doesn't scream history maker to me either, right? But she's under their contract, right? So if they're
Right.
going
And she's been there forever too.
and they seem to like her and prop her up, right? So I don't know. I get it. I get it. I just think there's a non-finish in my way, or they figure
Definitely
a
could
clever way for it to not happen. All right. I thought this was super fun. The Judgment Day Roxelle, right? Raquel and Roxanne Perez defeating Charlotte Flair, Sol Ruka, and Zarya. I got to stop trying to combine the names here. It's too late. And the Kabuki Warriors in a fatal four-way for the WWE Women's Tag Team titles, 10 minutes and 50 seconds. Babyface Charlotte's over, Mike. I think the Players Tribune thing, it's been a great weekend for her. I think the presentation with Lexa, who's so beloved, is rubbing off extremely well on her, and it's warranted. I'm happy for Charlotte. You know how I feel about Charlotte. I love Charlotte. I think she's great. And it was definitely a mishap that we were kind of talking about all to start 2025. You're on a yacht, you're on whatever, right? And you're going to come back and have this heartwarming story about my knee when you presented yourself as that rich snob who doesn't care about us on your yacht, so on and so forth. You come back in the Rumble with your piss face and, all business, and, you expect your entitlement for sympathy just didn't land. So you write the awesome letter. Like, that's something maybe she should have done 6 or 7 months ago. And I think Alexa has a lot to do with this, right? So we'll see when they dissipate. I don't want them to dissipate anytime soon. This would be my SummerSlam match: Roxanne and Raquel versus
have them win it then.
And Flair. I think that would be awesome, and you would benefit from Charlotte and Bliss to be able to go to Raw a bunch of times, and then NXT if they want to, right? So I think that would be massive, and I think that's the correct direction. But overall, I thought the match was, a little bit forgettable, but overall successful with a totally anticlimactic finish. I thought the finish was like, oh, that was the finish. Like,
weak finish. It's almost like they mistimed something. It just felt so out of place. I loved, like, the one thing I was looking for was, like, if Charlotte and Alexa didn't win, were they going to have any dissension? And there was none. I mean, after the match ended, they were cuddling on the ringside. So I feel like they're going places with that, and it's been a net benefit for both of them. If Charlotte's not in the world title picture, then she needed to do something to kind of rehab her image, and it's working because she got some really good reactions tonight. And this was definitely probably a different crowd. It felt like almost like a kids crowd, the way that you would hear some of the reactions.
Right, yeah.
But at the same
everyone
time,
was over.
Yeah, Charlotte's Charlotte, man. She's in the last month, I think she's done a lot of goodwill to kind of help things. Like I listened to her the other day. It's a little old now, but listened to her when she was on the Julian Edelman pod, and super likable. Like, she was talking about how everybody hates Charlotte Flair, so now they just hate Ashley Flair too. So, and just the way that she talked about it, he almost felt like she was bummed by it. So then when you read that Players Tribune article, it all kind of put it into perspective. And I'm rooting for her. Obviously, she's forever going to be, in that conversation of greatest, WWE female women's wrestler of all time, or whatever we want to call it, and rightfully so. So I hated to see her back and kind of go through the motions, get to that Mania match, and have the crowd reactions the way that they were. So I'm glad that the tide's turning for her. It's a good thing for everybody when Charlotte Flair is important.
Yeah, no doubt. I could tell that she was like into Zarya. She liked the idea of like fucking around and having fun with Zarya in the ring. I wonder, well, honestly, that's good for Zarya's career once she comes up, right? I could see a little match series or something coming up between them in the distant future. I just felt like she's like, oh, she's got a nice look. She's a big girl. She
could have worked with her at the PC before Rumble too.
That too, right? So it's just like there was definitely something there that I kind of was just like, oh, there's definitely something there. And speaking of Zarya, Sol and Zarya are going to stop going for those double team moves, right? But it's playing into the story of them, which is the inevitable Zarya kills Sol Ruka type of thing.
Yeah, right? Takes her title. Asuka, what about Asuka for Becky?
Like an old kryptonite in a way, right?
Yeah, for a SummerSlam match.
honestly, like, what about a triple threat with the Kabuki Warriors? That's
Yeah,
cute. That's
that
cute.
could be fun.
Yeah,
She just did it. Becky just did a triple threat, but yeah, I think
yeah.
there
But
could be legs
this,
there. Or the other one too. Maybe if not Asuka, maybe they cash in on some natty equity.
mm, I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that. How about Maxine Dupree? No, I'm just kidding.
Oh
Uh,
man, yeah, we'll talk about
that
that.
I, I kind of don't hate the daddy. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of like it. I'm not gonna
Yeah,
say
she
it out
looked
loud.
kind of shitty in that in Battle Royal, but
Yeah,
I don't know. She could be somebody that could say nobody's giving me a chance, and then Becky's like, "Well, that's because you're old and shitty," and they kind of go that route, you know.
Becky would crumble her on the promos. Actually, I'm not gonna scream it from the rooftop, but I'm low key into it.
It's an easy like with any of these. It's easy. Like if you do like an Oscar or Natty, you can get to it in 10 minutes. You know.
Yep. All right, Mike. The shortest match of the night, believe it or not, 8 minutes and 30 seconds. Tiffany Stratton defeats Trish Stratus via pinfall to retain the WWE Women's title. I thought it was safe. It was straightforward, and it was everything it needed to be. Is Tiffy a little stiff with Trishy, right? Like, and also not to veer away from the match so soon, but was there some shit going on at ringside at the end where like Tiffany was going after someone and then the ref had to kind of step in and walk
I don't
her
know. I
away?
felt like they were just trying to get back on schedule because she kind of was pushing her along.
Do you
But
think
yeah,
this?
could have been. Could have
Yeah,
definitely somebody might have said something stupid.
yeah. This is like a Madams 3. I thought the crowd was so hot for the first 3 matches. A little bit less for the NXT, but anyways, they were hot for the first one. They were hot for the tag
They were
team.
hot for Blake when she came
Yeah,
out.
and it's like they eventually have to come down. They came down a little bit here to an extent, but I think they still had it, and probably going 8 to 9 minutes was the smart move, just to make sure everything is kind of continuing on that accelerated pace with this whole show.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a good match. If this is, you think this is Tiff's last match, or excuse me, Trish's last match?
Yeah, no. I mean, it kind of felt that way, and that maybe they wanted to leave it open just in case it was. But they always find use for her, you know. And she delivers on it. She still gets pops. She still does her thing in the ring for the most part. I mean, she's obviously better in the tag format, but another Cole miss on the walk to the ring. He said that this was Trish's first singles match in 18 years. Obviously, he meant probably first title match in 18 years.
Which isn't
But just
also isn't true, is it?
yeah, I don't know. When was because she didn't have any title matches with Becky, right? No,
No, that was all a grudge feud. And
so
then,
it might be.
yeah, her last title match was 2016, where she won it for the 7th time or 6th or 7th time
Yeah,
versus Lita Unforgiven in Toronto. So
that's about
I,
right.
I don't
But
know.
yeah, like I don't know. Trish still has equity. She's still hot. She still does her thing. And like her and Tiff, you know, if Tiff ever needs a friend again, it could be Trish. You know, and
Yeah, it was a very like respectful, like we're friends.
yeah,
That's how they presented it too, right? So
at the end of the day, Tiff's title reign's probably coming to an end, and it's a check mark win for her. So at the end of the day, you know, it had a place here, and Trish is somebody that deserves to be in the show. She's done good work the last few years for them. So I think, you know, while, you know, it's not one that I'm saying I'm going to probably hop over to Evolution 2025 to rewatch it too many times, it did its job.
and that title end could be coming to an end to this competitor. Jade Cargill defeats Naomi via pinfall, 11 minutes, 10 seconds, and a no-hold-barred. Belair was your special guest referee. Like you said earlier, Mike, probably the worst match of the night, but that's not a bad thing. I thought it was a totally fine, acceptable match. I thought this feud was building up a lot of steam, and obviously they wanted to save a lot of the theatrics and a lot of the brawling and crowd stuff for the main event, which worked, right? So, and
Right.
honestly, they probably wanted to say a little bit of Naomi too, as well, right? They wanted it to be decisive in ending, but they wanted to kind of save a little bit for Naomi equity wise for obviously the
Yeah.
main event too,
So
right?
her
So
coming out doesn't seem ridiculous after losing a hardcore match, you know?
yeah, so it's funny because Belair is like there, but totally forgotten about, right?
It was
Like
like it was like anybody was roughing the match, yeah.
yeah. It was like Jessica Carr was doing her 3rd match, 4th
It
night
was
back
just
in the
which I mean, if she's not cleared to wrestle, it was just a cute way to get her on the show.
yeah.
No.
But
So
anyways, it was a safe, similar to the Tiffany and Tiffany and Trish match. It was like a safe, good enough match. And it's like, all right, we're so close to SummerSlam. Let's go out there and have a good enough, right? And I'm fine with that. This is the point of the match where I was like kind of anticipating the battle royal a little bit as
Right.
we get into. We had plenty of highs beforehand, and this was kind of like the come down. These two matches for me, these were honestly the most least anticipated for me personally. Tiffany and Jade, these two matches. So that probably doesn't scream a lot for my excitement for SummerSlam, but overall, what did you think of this match? You kind of with me where it was just
Yeah, it was there. Like, I think it made Jade look good, especially beating Naomi to then go on and win her title too. So now Jade looks like even that more of a threat. There were parts of the production of this match that I fucking hated. Like, they're laying outside by the ring, and you could just hear Bianca giving instruction to Jade. Are you okay? Are you okay? And it's just like, that was wonky. And then the finish, it seemed like the setup took fucking forever. And then you could see Naomi like give the nod, like, all right, I'm ready. Like that took me out of it too. Those were just aspects I feel like, using a different camera angle fixes both of those, right? So that took me out of it at the finish. And, you're waiting for Bianca to do something, and she never did. So it just, it kind of felt flat. It kind of felt like, we had this match fit to be their hardcore match in the show. And yeah, they wanted to probably, to your point, make Naomi not like a cripple leaving this ring, knowing she was going to come in and cash in. But they still laid her out enough to kind of take the thought of her cashing in out of mind too. And, Jade kind of does better in these sorts of matches, right? I mean, who wouldn't in like a death match or a hardcore match type thing? But
Jade in a death match.
Yeah, I know. Who knows? But her and Tiff, Tiff's the same way. The match could stink. It could also, surprise. Because they're both kind of made to be best in their blunder type matches, Plunder, we should say.
Here's the thing. Both girls are like stiff and like willing to throw it in there. So that part of it's like, all right, it's intriguing. But that also could be like, they also kind of both have two left feet as well, in a way, right?
They've worked together before, so it's at least going to, I feel like they did that knowing they were going to do it at SummerSlam just to kind of get them comfortable with each other,
Yeah, didn't Jade beat her on a SmackDown or something? Or
I think it was a non-finish.
Tiffany beat her on a Smack. Or who pinned Jade? Someone pinned Jade. Who pinned Jade?
Maybe Tiff did.
I forget. Someone pinned Jade.
Somebody pinned Jade on the build to, what was the tournament before King of the Ring? Was that Elimination Chamber?
Money in the Bank. Yeah, someone pinned her in the chamber because she didn't.
On the way to the chamber.
She returned at the chamber. Someone pinned her overseas.
That's what it was.
It was Liv. Thank you. It was
Liv. Okay.
It was Liv. When Liv was, that makes sense, right? I remember that now. So, all right, yeah. Belair was basically a non-factor. Like, what the fuck, right? Crazy Shark in a way, right? But it was playing it safe, probably, right? They probably didn't want to tip their hat where she was going in this feud, and this was the blow off to the feud too. So, I don't know. Interesting, right?
Yeah, I mean, Jade gets a win. She's going to SummerSlam in 3 weeks. Well, again, kind of like the Tiff match. This was just a match to get them wins on the way to their next big match,
All right. 15 minutes and 30 seconds, not including entrances. Stephanie Vaquer last eliminates Lash Legend to win the Battle Royal. Mike, have the mic.
I think, or I'm muted. I think the most shocking part to this one was they did 18 entrances, and it was still quicker than the Ospreay and Swerve match versus the Bucks as far as entrances go from yesterday. So I like that they got the entrances, though. I mean, obviously some of them are shorter than others, but that kind of gives the shine to each of them, especially like poor Tatum, who got her entrance and then got thrown like a bag of shit immediately, just to have her partner thrown on top of her.
She's lost. She's lost as a character. It works,
right? So I kind of, I didn't really mind that because I made Nia, established Nia as the powerhouse of the match early. All in all, it's a women's battle royal, so it's gonna have its clunky moments. The Maxine and Natty doing the worm, Jesus Christ! And neither one of them gave each other enough room to do it. Natty's was she looked like she's a dying fish. Hopefully she performs better doing a worm with TJ in the bedroom than that.
I was just gonna say, Mike, I'm pretty sure Natty is a dead fish. Let's be real. Let's be real.
That was rough, and then she immediately gets thrown out from there. Um, Julia, I almost wish Julia wasn't in this match, but I also understand why she was, and she got eliminated by Zelina, so they're probably going to have a match
When did they get
soon.
eliminated? I kind of forgot about that.
It's
When did
probably
she get
like
eliminated
midway
towards the middle?
point, like towards the maybe top 8 or so, top 9, something like that.
Well, she did get the last entrance too, right? So
Yeah, and she was out of the ring, and they did that, like, she hit the corner and got eliminated. This is kind of a women's trope they've been doing too much
she's a
in
mess.
Rumbles.
Like, I don't know. She's not connecting, but she should. She's on her way to connecting. I wonder if she'll get there. Man, honestly,
Yeah, I feel like they would have benefited more from her having a singles match at some point this weekend, even if it was a squash.
I got it, Mike. How about we do Becky versus Julia, champion versus champion showcase match? That could work.
Could work.
That could work. That could work. Mike, do you believe that Nia hated the NXT girls? I think that was. Why did the producers hate the NXT girls? That was kind of funny, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's just that Nia wanted to be established as the defending champion of this Battle Royal from 7 years ago.
Put over Lash, right? So it made sense.
Yeah. So I think, they really loved Lash Legend in the production room on this one.
They should. She has a bright future, and I'm curious what her ceiling is. She's improved immensely since turning up on 2.0 and being totally lost. She has a great pedigree. She has a good look. She is crossoverable. I can't believe we're saying all these straight things about her because when she came on the scene, like, who is this? What is this? Right? So she has the great look and the size and the smile. So, I think there's definitely something there. I can see why.
Yeah, and obviously you've got your typical shiny turds like the Secret Harvest kind of had quick outings. Chelsea always does her thing. Chelsea
way too long, by the way.
Yeah, BFAB was in there too long. Her and Michin kind of are the forever kind of sitting in the middle without going higher than the real middle. I don't know. There was definitely clunky to it. I'll never forgive Chelsea for taking away the Devil's Kiss from Nikki Bella, getting it. And then Chelsea got it, so that was okay. But yeah, I mean, nothing really stands out to me as memorable with it, but the right person won.
All right, here are the order of eliminations: Tatum Paxley, Izzy Dame, Ivy Nile, Natalia, Maxine Dupree, Candice LeRae, Candice Michelle. Jada, we both did the dumb joke. Jada Parker, Kehlani Jordan, Julia, BFAB, Mishin, Zelina Vega, Alba Fire, Lola Vice, Piper Niven, Chelsea Green, Nikki Bella, Nia Jax, and Lash Legend was last. I like the last sequence where it was cute. It'll add to the anticipation, the Devil's Kiss, and then she fell to the ground. So I thought that was good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely did not think Lash would be a final 2 here, but because it kind of takes away, like, if it was her and Nikki, you would have at least had or even not, well, not really Nia, but in Nikki, you at least could have that drama of who's going to win. But at the end of the day, it was a Stephanie Vicaire showcase, and that's ultimately what it showed up as.
Yeah, no doubt. Overall thoughts, Mike, on this PLE as we kind of get out of here. What do you think? Highs, lows, anything wrong, anything right? What would you have done different? The floor is yours.
I would totally have not included Stephanie McMahon to the degree that they did. I get why they did the panel with Tess, but her in the ring speaking Spanish, I don't know.
Gracias.
That wasn't for me. It's like playing up that meme when it's Stephanie McMahon like at the Mexican restaurant.
Absolutely.
It just was, I don't know. I think the show was overwhelmingly positive. And I'm not beaten up by the fact that Stephanie McMahon was in the ring speaking Spanish, but I didn't like it either. Just let Vicaire speak. She's pretty good with the English now. I would rather have had Jackie Redmond in the ring for that.
Yeah, but I get it. Like, they want to present Stephanie as the mother of the women's revolution. In a way, she is, but is she totally? No, not really, right? So.
The other thing, my other takeaway was like they did a good job having all female refs. I liked how in the first Evolution they used obviously Renee and Beth Phoenix, but then I was thinking they don't really have the women that they could have done that with for a match this year,
Yeah, there's no one in it. I don't know.
Because
Is that
like
a
Jackie,
deserving?
you would have
Yeah.
needed to use wrestlers to do it. Like that would have had to have been Steph McMahon, which
Oh,
if
no, thank
anybody's
you.
watched the first women's rumble, you don't want that. Other than that, they would have just had to bring like a Beth back or like a Mickey James in to do something like that, right? And it wouldn't have fit. So that was my only like I liked how the first Evolution integrated women into every aspect of it. And I like Wade and Cole as a team. Cole just seemed like his brain was somewhere else tonight. But that was also like I was trying to think if there were two women that they could have thrown in there, and there really isn't. But it kind of sucks that they don't have that opportunity now.
All right, Mike, I got two things for you. Out of 10, Crazy Shark, 9 out of 10. Yeah, I'm on 8.5. I don't know if I go to 9. That's kind of sacred ground. We had 2, 4, 4.25, and 4.5 star matches for me, so I can see the argument for that. But in the moment with Naomi, I can see it, but I think my ceiling's like 8.5, maybe even 8. Right, once the dust settles. I thought there was a lot and a lot of stuff that wasn't like fully needed, but overall, I wouldn't take it off because the girls earned it. And Mike, would you make this an annual event? I wouldn't.
I wouldn't. I would save it in your back pocket for when it makes sense to do so, but no more than every other year.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, back pocket when needed. All right,
I
Mike.
would change the battle royal too. I would like obviously I never want to watch Casino Battle Royal again.
Oh, brutal.
But even if they stole like that AEW gimmick of like I
5
like
at a
their
time.
battle royals when it was 5 at a time, like that would have added to the match, you know.
Yeah. I still think it was pretty decent. All right,
Yeah,
Mike.
it was fine. I feel like it would have anything's better when it's a rumble of some sort. Just a little bit of a format change. I feel like they go to a conventional battle royal almost too much. They do it a ton in NXT, which so it makes sense. It's a quick way to get a new challenger, like the Miles Bourne of it all. But conventional battle royals to me are kind of like, all right, let's clear out the crap early and then see who's a real threat here.
All right, Mike. One more thing, non-evolution related. Tomorrow night, we got this massive match that I grow on the screen here. A gauntlet match. Winner faces Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship at SummerSlam. LA Knight, Jey Uso, Penta, Braun Breaker, and CM Punk. Who's winning this?
I think it's got to be Punk. They already built up him and Gunther. What I think this match is going to rule. I think
Yeah.
the only part of it that I don't love is that you got to pin 4 of them.
Well, here's the thing. Uso can get pinned, even though they protect him. He can get pinned.
Or do something with 4 of them, right?
Him and Penta can probably be 1-2. And then I would have Penta be like, wow, shock win. And then we get Breaker, spear, and kill him. Right. And then Breaker versus LA, and then Breaker versus Punk. Right.
Yeah.
LA.
Like Breaker should get a couple wins.
That's how I would do it.
But I also feel like I don't want to see Breaker and Punk yet. So I kind of hope that there's
But you could, then maybe Breaker is in like an early spot. He beats like a Penta, beats a J, and then LA catches him. And then we get like a LA Punk. Because honestly, LA could use that in a way. I think
Penta, I'm not worried about. Penta's pretty
too.
bulletproof. Yeah,
Yeah,
Penta's pretty bulletproof
as
now.
is Jay, right?
Yeah, they're both guys that when you want to heat them up in the blink of an eye, you can. You kind of the same way with Knight too. But Knight just won a match he wasn't supposed to win, so him eating a loss isn't a big deal. It's really just Braun and Punk. Like I kind of feel like, especially without Seth, Braun's become more important overnight. Not that he wasn't, but you know what I mean?
Yeah,
The one aspect of the match I just feel like is Braun and Punk should be kind of kept away from each other.
Yeah, and it's funny too that they gave they gave Breaker a lot more on Monday Night Raw too, like from a character standpoint, a little
Right.
unhingedness, gave him a little more mic time, a bigger presentation to the audience, and then boom, and then Rollins is fucked, his knee's screwed, and we totally have to pivot. It's like, do we hand the keys to Breaker and go or whatnot? Did you hear my idea last night with Jay, where I was just like, you have 2 options. You can have a Money in the Bank match at SummerSlam, or option B, you can have Paul Heyman be the Money in the Bank briefcase, and then he chooses who cashes in, when, and where.
Yeah.
I kind of
I'm
like
thinking
both
of
actually.
I'm thinking about Roman Reigns too, because
E-
he's coming at some point. He's working SummerSlam, so we're
If he
due.
shows if he shows up at the end of this gauntlet and spears the ever loving hell out of whoever the winner is, and then he enters the gauntlet and he faces Gunther,
Or
that's money.
he, or they do Punk Braun to end it, and then Roman comes in because of a ref knockdown or something and spears the fuck out of Braun,
Yeah.
and then him and Braun work SummerSlam, and then Punk goes to Gunther.
Roman Reigns was needed before this for SummerSlam. Now that Rollins is even hurt more, he's needed much more, right?
I
So
think I think Roman and Braun might have always been the plan for SummerSlam. Because
I hope
remember,
so. Yeah.
what wrote Reigns off of TV was Braun Breaker.
Yep, no doubt. So, all right, it was just fun to have a little Monday Night Raw anticipation leading into tomorrow. It's a massive match. SummerSlam is in 3 weeks. I'm planning on going, so we're gonna have to think of something, Mike.
Yeah, I'm
Can't
not
believe
going to go, so I'll be around.
I can't believe it's 3 weeks away.
And they got a lot of shit to do. We've got 2 matches,
Yeah, and one of them's
right?
Jelly RKO or RKO
Actually,
Jelly.
3. We got 3 because we got Cody,
Queen of the Ring.
Cena, and Jade and Tiff, but they're all SmackDown. We got 3 SmackDown matches, which makes sense because with SmackDown, you only got 2 episodes left because I don't count the go home because it's the night before. So you got 2 SmackDowns left, which is 4 hours of TV. So they kind of had to start the ball rolling downhill earlier. And obviously you have the King of the Ring that made that happen with both of those instances. But Raw's got to get in gear, and they're gonna be shooting off the hip. Like, we're gonna know what's up with Naomi next pretty quick. I think we're obviously going to have the Gunther opponent set up pretty quick. And then, I expect Roman. I straight up, before this gauntlet, I wasn't even thinking about him tomorrow, but I feel like it's the perfect opportunity for him to come fuck with Heyman in some degree. And hey, what if Braun versus Reigns is for the briefcase?
It seems below Roman, but that's interesting.
Just because Heyman, we got to do something with his briefcase. Braun, you want to face Roman Reigns? Well, the briefcases goes to the winner of this. I don't know, just a fun idea.
Maybe they pay an old debt and give it to Mr. Kennedy. We'll see, right?
Yeah. Here's the question I have for you as we head into that build. Do they grab a third guy for that to fit into that group now?
I think they let it be for now, and if they feel that it's needed, I
Yeah.
think we're eventually going to get a fourth, right? But I don't think that I would see what Braun Breaker looks like as your leader, and I wouldn't want anyone to overshadow Braun Breaker potentially. And
Yeah.
honestly, I would throw Braun Breaker straight into the deep end and let's see how he swims. That's
I agree.
exactly what I would do. I think he's ready. He's seasoned. He's more flexible as a character than you think, and he's a kick-ass motherfucker. And he's vulnerable for a loss. He can be like he can take a loss and be fine. He's not vulnerable. Excuse me. So I would just exactly sink or swim, big dog. Like let's go.
And what I'm excited about is, it's kind of to Crazy Shark's last point about the cutting down on big events. We can breathe now. We've got SummerSlam, which is a 2-night show, and then you got a month pretty much until Paris, and then I feel like we'll be back on. There's not going to be another Saturday Night's Main Event now until December. They just did the third quarter one, so I think that we've got some room to breathe now.
Good, because football season's starting for me, and I got to slow the fuck down.
SmackDown's 2 hours again. I don't know. I feel like we need to get away from these, shows every 2 weeks to kind of get stories back to being stories and not just quick hits. So I'm looking forward to this build to SummerSlam. That's going to probably feel on warp speed, but then, you're going to start seeing the tea leaves for stuff for Paris and beyond. So
is Crazy Shark a New England guy? Let's go. Go Paris.
So I got one more question for you before we leave. Is it safe to assume that War Games was going to be something involving Seth, Braun, and Bronson, maybe with a couple of friends and mix? Or what do we think? Or you think that that's like more bloodline shit?
No. They're mid-card now, and Triple H is not going to present a mid-card War Game. And, Mike, I think it's funny that War Games was initially not a part of the SummerSlam or Survivor Series poster or build or whatever, and then they just slipped it in as this group emerged. So there's a lot of big names on that poster, and I assume that, like a Paul Heyman-like group is going to be
Maybe throw Braun and Bronson with Judgment Day. I don't know.
Oof, I don't know. I think
I'm just trying to think like if now there's only fucking 2 of them.
I think there's going to be more, but I don't think there's going to be more until there's like a pivot. I think there'll be more when there's a pivot point. Is there like a tag team that they can throw in this group? Heyman with a tag team would kind of rule, even though we thought Bronson and Braun would be the tag team. But is there like a tag team? Like 8-Town Down Under isn't credible enough, but they would kind of fit. I don't know.
They're gonna. I mean, and here's the deal with the Seth injury. Somebody's gonna get elevated, and I don't even really think Braun counts for that because I feel like his elevation was already started. It's obviously just going to go to a different level now, but somebody else is going to pick up extra TV time, and I don't know who it is.
Probably Swipe Right, hopefully. So
that
would fit perfect. So, all right, Mike, we're out of here. Thanks, guys, for playing along. This was great, and we'll see you on the next one. 3 weeks for SummerSlam. Later, Mike.
Later.